With a heartfelt farewell to its two title characters, the Superman and Lois finale offered a final glimpse of the venerable DC series and all of its adored characters. Episode 9 of Superman and Lois Season 4 ended the story at a pivotal and tense moment, with Superman engaged in a battle with Doomsday that seemed impossible to win. After revealing the resolution of this conflict and Clark's fierce rivalry with Lex Luthor, Episode 10 focuses on tying up the last loose ends in the series. It has taken a long time for the live-action Superman series to reach its final episode, which airs more than 3 years after the first episode debuted in February 2021. This time has been well spent, though, as the final chapter makes significant use of nearly every story and relationship that has developed over the seasons and years. Overall, Superman and Lois Season 4 ends the series with a final, powerful and emotional farewell to its heroes, and everything that makes them who they are. Naturally, since Superman was killed by Doomsday in their first fight at the beginning of Season 4, the show's conclusion begins with a significant emphasis on the pair's second round. This is because Superman and Lois, Season 4, Episode 9, concludes with Clark having a rematch with Doomsday. After some prodding from Lois, Clark fortunately learns from his past errors and allows Superman to fly him up to the sun by having Jordan and Jonathan fly Doomsday straight into Steel's hammer. There is another twist in space, though, as Doomsday seems to regain some of his consciousness and memories as Bizarro. Recalling his own memories as Superman in the Bizarro world, he sacrifices himself to end things and to ostensibly save Superman, who probably would have otherwise had to give his life in order to finally stop Doomsday. It's a fitting and surprisingly emotional farewell for the character, considering that Bizarro was both Superman's ally and enemy in earlier parts of the story. Following Doomsday's defeat, the focus shifts more directly to Luthor, who remains committed to attempting to defeat both Clark and Lois. In order to defeat Superman, Lex dons the upgraded steel suit. He even uses the kryptonite screws that Milton made, which pierced Clark's skin in a painful way. However, driven by a desire to put an end to things once and for all, Superman uses his bare hands to crush a kryptonite screw before putting all of his energy into defeating Lex. Following Lex's arrest, Clark and Lois find out that his appeal has been rejected, and he will be imprisoned at Stryker for the rest of his life. Crucially, Lex is placed in a regular cell instead of the opulent life he had led in the prison after breaking it to suit his whim. This is because Bruno Mannheim is present and committed to making sure Luthor doesn't receive a lavish prison stay. In fact, when he was last there, Mannheim mentions Lex making someone his human chair and threatening to have Luthor take his place. There are 2 time skips in the Superman and Lois ending. The first lasts for a year, and the second happens more gradually, taking place 32 years after the events of Season 4. There are many significant revelations in the first time skip alone, including the marriage of John Henry Irons and Lana Lang, Chrissy and Kyle getting ready for the birth of their second child, and Sarah telling Jordan that she believes staying overseas is the right decision for her. When Jordan says, "I feel like I'm in the right place myself," it implies that his previous internal conflict has been at least partially resolved. With Superman, Jordan, Jonathan, Steel, and Starlight flying together as a superhero team, and Clark establishing a connection with Bruno Mannheim in the hopes that the criminal can be redeemed because of his later help to him and Lois, the second time skip is the more somber one. In a similar vein, Clark Kent's narration also discloses that the hero started working on a charity in order to use the fame and attention associated with the Superman moniker to assist others in ways other than merely defending people against natural disasters and superpowered threats. Most importantly, during the parts of the final montage that also offer a glimpse of an older Clark and Lois, the time skip depicts Jordan and Jonathan as adults. The boys continue to be heroes, and each of them gets married and has kids, making their parents grandparents. This sets the stage for the show's last scenes, which bring Clark Kent and Lois Lane's story to a close. Superman and Lois's final moments are appropriately devoted to the last days of the 2 main characters. Clark's narration explains that Lois's cancer tragically returned, and ultimately resulted in her death, even though it also affirms that the two had many, many happy years together following the defeat of Lex Luthor and the defeat and sacrifice of Doomsday. After this, Clark lives for a few years, keeping Krypto, a normal golden retriever without any special abilities, by his side following Lois's death. But it appears that Krypto may have outlived his owner because, according to Clark, he died 32 years after the major events of Superman and Lois Season 4, and shortly after Lois, his human replacement heart, finally failed. Fortunately, despite the sadness of Superman's death, the scene that follows gives the hero a final farewell, as he has a vision of bidding farewell to everyone who matters in his life, including Lex Luthor, before meeting Lois in the afterlife, guaranteeing that the two can conclude their show together. What has made Superman and Lois successful and unique over the years is demonstrated in the show's finale. In order to show how Clark Kent's civilian life is just as significant as his heroic life, both in terms of his family and friends, and how these relationships influence his bravery, the series has always made sure to concentrate on him just as much as Superman. The importance of human connection has long been at the center of the narrative, and its conclusion makes sure to emphasize how important all of these ties have been. Even though it is bittersweet to watch Superman die after a long life, the conclusion seems more sweet than bitter, because, in spite of the odds and the numerous plots that seem to have been designed to kill him off earlier in life, he lived a long, happy life with his loved ones and doing the work that was most important to him. As a result, the Superman and Lois finale ensures that the series continues to be an important part of the hero's on-screen legacy, while also bringing the show to a fitting and emotional close.